I was living and working in New York City in 1994. I came across the fact that the World Wide Web was growing very quickly. It was tiny, but it was growing very fast. Most people had not heard of it. And I came up with this idea. The idea initially was very simple. It was to sell books online. And I went to my boss, who I liked a lot. His name was David. And I said, I have this idea to start this company to sell books on the internet. And he took me on a long walk in Central Park in New York and listened to this idea in great detail. And he said, it actually sounds like a really good idea to me, but I think it would be a better idea for somebody who didn't already have a good job. And I thought about that. That made a certain amount of sense to me. And he said, why don't you think about it for 2 days before you make a final decision? And so I went away and I thought about this. And I was trying to figure out how to make this decision, because in the moment, personal life decisions, those choices can be very challenging. And I finally figured out for me the right way to think about it, which was I wanted not to have regrets. I pictured myself, 80 years old, and thinking back on my life in a quiet moment of reflection. Would I regret leaving this company in the middle of the year and walking away from my annual bonus and all those things that in the moment could be very confusing? And I thought, when I'm 80, I'm not going to think about that. I'm not even going to remember it. But what I will do, I know for a fact, I have this idea, and if I don't try, I'm going to regret having never tried. And I know also, if I try and fail, I'll never regret having tried and failed. And as soon as I thought about it that way, I knew I had to give it a try. Amazon is the best place in the world to fail. And the reason for that is we have a lot of practice. And by the way, there are multiple kinds of failure. There are at least two kinds that are really important. There are experiments. You're trying to figure out something new, maybe that nobody in the world has ever done before. That is high quality failure. Because when you're experimenting, you don't know if it's going to work. In fact, if you know in advance that something is going to work, then it is not an experiment. And so you want to be doing as many experiments per unit time, as many experiments per day, per week, per month, per year as you can, because that's how you get invention. And that is it's another way of learning. There's a second kind of failure which you should try to avoid. That's operational excellence failure. When you do know how to do something, you have to treat that differently. When we go to open a new fulfillment center, for example, we know how to do that. If we fail at that, that's just bad execution. And that, again, by the way, that happens also. We fail that way too. But you should never celebrate that kind of failure. When that happens, you need to say, okay, let's look in the mirror, let's be self-critical, let's figure out what did we do wrong, and you learn from that also, but you have to acknowledge that that's the bad kind of failure. I think over the long run, again, I'm talking kind of hundreds of years, our descendants are going to move all heavy industry off of Earth. All the polluting industry will be done in space, where we have infinite resources for all practical matters. And Earth can effectively be zoned light industry and residential. And Earth can be this amazing garden. We have sent robotic probes to every planet in this solar system. We, humans, have done that. This is the good one. There are no other good planets in this solar system. We have to take care of this one. What could happen on the internet is that 2 kids in a dorm room could build a company the scale of Facebook. 2 kids in a dorm room could build a company that today has a $500 billion market cap. That kind of dynamism cannot exist in space today. 2 kids in a dorm room can't build anything interesting in space. The cost of admission, the price of admission is just too high. To do really interesting things in space, the price tag starts in the hundreds of millions of dollars and goes up from there. And that's the job of Blue Origin as I see it. I want Blue Origin to reduce the cost of access to space by such a large magnitude that we can have 2 kids in a dorm room start a great space company. I want to make a prediction for you. I predict that the 21st century is going to be the Indian century. Today, we're announcing that we're going to invest an incremental $1 billion in digitizing small and medium businesses. And thank you. And part of that is that we are going to try to use Amazon's size, scope, and scale. We're going to use our global footprint to export outside of India, to export $10 billion of Make in India goods by the year. We're going to do that by the year 2025.